¿Qué pasa, YouTube? 6ftHax here. Happy for you guys today. One hell of an NU battle I had against Ace Trainer Nicholas off of my Discord. Of course, if you guys do enjoy the battle, make sure to hammer arm that like button down below. And in the comment section below, guys, let me know what your thoughts are of Pokemon Ultra Sun and Pokemon Ultra Moon. I am very hyped for Ultra Moon and Ultra Sun. Don't really care too much about Pokken, in all honesty, but the new games that are coming out this November, I'm really excited. I'm hoping that maybe we get new Mega Evolutions or like new Z moves or stuff. Just let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. So let's get into the battle. Going into this game, potential Dragon Dance Scrafty could be an absolutely humongous problem because I don't really have a good fighting resist on this makeshift team. And then Dragon Dance Z-move Altaria could maybe sweep late game, depending on how things go. If you guys do want this pace bin of this thrown together team, I'll leave a link to it down below in the description. So I end up leading off with my Persian, as Nicholas is going to be leading off with this Torterra. Turn 1, I go straight for the taunt because I don't want him to get up rocks, and then I'm going to go for the Toxic, hoping that maybe he would stay in, just trying to see what I wanted to do, or that maybe I could catch something else with the Toxic. Unfortunately though, Scrafty is pretty damn lucky apparently, and he's gonna get the turn 1 Shed Skin. And if he hadn't had got that turn 1 Shed Skin, I would have been able to get off 6% damage with Toxic, and then maybe an extra 12% this turn, which means he would have been at 18% less HP, which could have maybe come in handy later in the match, as I hard switch right into my Silvally, hoping that he wouldn't predict this. He does unfortunately get a high jump kick crit, which is a little bit annoying. Is it game changing? I don't really think so, because either way he's not going to stay in here, because I can definitely straight go for the multi attack, and expecting him to switch out, I am going to go for the parting shot on out into my Seismitoad. I thought about maybe going into my Drapion to potentially pursuit trap him, but at the same time he could have easily tried to switch directly back into Scrafty on my knockoff, and then Scrafty could have potentially picked up another KO depending on how things went. So I thought by bringing in Seismitoad, I could just go ahead, get up my rocks right away, prevent him from switching in and pivoting around too much. And as he brought in Torterra, I'm very positive that he's going to go for his own Stealth Rocks. This way I can get a free switch into my Porygon 2, and then maybe go for an Ice Beam or go for a Toxic or even Thunderbolt if potential incoming Assault Vest Slowking. So he does end up going for the rocks, which is really nice because now I'm in a pretty good scenario. Although rocks are going to be really annoying to me, they are still going to be annoying to my opponent as well. So I do decide to just make the safe and obvious play and going for the Ice Beam on the off chance that maybe he wanted to see if I was going to go for Toxic or not. But him switching out honestly was a good play because Ice Beam is very common on Porygon 2, which, speaking of Porygon 2, that thing is way too good for NU. I'm surprised that it's still there. I'm very positive Porygon 2 is going to be leaving NU very soon because that thing is absolutely insanely bulky, as he makes an excellent play Dragon Dancing on my switch directly into Silvally. I basically have to sack Silvally here, and this is where him high jump kick critting I don't think really mattered, because a +1 life orb Iron Head I'm still very positive would have knocked me out because I only have max HP, but that's fine because I do have Scarf Drapion in the back, which can come in, and I'm definitely going to be able to outspeed him. The only problem is that I don't think Poison Jab knocks him out, and this is where if he hadn't had got the turn 1 Shed Skin, it would have come in absolutely handy, because he would have been knocked out by this Poison Jab, which means I would have been able to save my Drapion. Unfortunately though, it is going to be a double down, which I will gladly take because this Scrafty literally just 6-0'd my team. So down goes to Scrafty, as I'm going to bring in my Alolan Persian here, as he's going to bring in his Raichu. There is a possibility that this Raichu could be Scarfed, but there is also the chance that I could hard switch right into my Seismitoad. So I'm going to make a pretty ballsy play here and stay in against the Raichu and actually go for the foul play, as much to my surprise, it just dies. I honestly did not expect foul play to just straight Oko Raichu. He told me that he went for the Nasty Plot thinking that I would have parting shot, which I guess isn't a bad play because I thought about parting shotting into my Porygon 2 just to deal with them, but then at the same time I was like, he could just Volt Switch potentially, so I thought foul playing was my better move there. As in comes the Altaria, I'm going to parting shot this turn as he brings in the Weezing, which gets no love in Citra because apparently it doesn't like smoke. I don't know why Citra doesn't like smoke because it does the same thing to Torkoal. Either way, it's fine. Hopefully it doesn't bother you guys, as I'm going to parting shot into my Seismitoad. This was maybe a questionable play on my part. Then again, there's not really too much I have to deal with this Weezing, which really sucks because there's a chance that he's got Toxic Spikes, which Toxic Spikes, not that my Drapion is gone, could prove to be a humongous problem, which of course he does have the T-Spikes. And I'm gonna go for the knockoff just wanted to get rid of his Black Sludge, as I make a bit of a bad misplay here. I make a big misplay here is what I meant to say. I don't know why I said massive misplay, I guess, is a good way to put it as well, because what I should have done was hard switch directly into my Porygon 2. I shouldn't have let him get up the second layer of T-Spikes without getting my Porygon 2 in on that first layer, because now instead of my Porygon 2 and the rest of my team being regular poison, they're going to be toxic poison, which means every turn damage is going to be racking up, as to where if it was only one layer of T-Spikes, I would only be taking 12% every turn. So that's really bad, because Porygon 2, now that his Scrafty is gone, is going to be very, very hard for him to break. Except that now I'm toxic poison, and even though yes I do trace the natural cure of this Altaria, it literally doesn't matter, because when I come back in, I'm still gonna get toxic by the T-Spike. So I guess this is where me coming in secondly was kind of good for me, because if I had traced it on a regular toxic, then after I switched out I would have been toxic poisoned, if you guys get what I'm trying to say. So I don't know, I probably wouldn't have switched in Porygon 2 like that if that was the scenario. Either way though, I do expect him to switch out here, thinking I'm going to go for the Ice Beam, and I'm going to go straight for the Toxic, and I luckily managed to catch the incoming Slowking, and the fact that I'm able to get off the Toxic on Slowking is really, really huge, because now it's going to be a whole lot easier for me to beat, and it turns out that he actually is not a Salt Vest, and he turns out to have leftovers, which is a little bit annoying, but it is nice to know now. And here, expecting him to maybe just want to go for a Future Sight or a Scald, even a Psyshock really, I'm going to switch directly into my Seismitoad, because he knows that I have knockoff on my Seismitoad. I'm very positive that he's not going to leave in his Slowking on my Toad to just lose his leftovers. So there is the good possibility that he's going to want to pull the safe switch into the Torterra, because typically Seismitoad can't touch Torterra whatsoever outside of like burning it with Scald, and I guess if Seismitoad has HP, I don't think Seismitoad gets Ice Beam. I think it gets Icy Wind, but outside of like HP Ice and potential Icy Wind, there's not really too much Toad can do to Torterra. So expecting him to switch into his Torterra, knowing that I can't do anything to him, I'm gonna pull a double switch into my Choice Banded Reckless Emboar. And I actually really wish that I was Expert Belted instead of Choice Banded, because I remember using Expert Belt Emboar in Black and White 2 NU before I moved up to RU, and that thing was an absolute monster, because so many people expect Emboar to be choiced, and if I was Expert Belted, I wouldn't have had to worry about a potential 50-50 here on whether or not he's going to leave in Torterra or switch into the Slowking. But because I am Choice Banded Reckless Emboar, this Flare Blitz, after rocks and toxic damage, has a really good shot to 2-hit KO the Slowking. If he wants to save his Slowking, something else is dying to this Flare Blitz. Emboar is a humongous problem to his team right now, especially because this Slowking has a chance to just get absolutely annihilated by this Flare Blitz. As long as I don't get like absolute minimum damage, I'm pretty positive that Flare Blitz right there would have knocked out Slowking. He told me that he wasn't max defense and max HP, so the odds were even better in my favor to knock him out with 2 Flare Blitz after rocks and toxic damage. As back comes the Weezing, as badly as I wanted to Flare Blitz here, there is a good chance that I'm going to be able to get off a Z Parting Shot back into my Emboar, which is going to be absolutely amazing, because at this point Emboar destroys his team. Unfortunately, T-Spikes are a humongous problem, which means he could still very well win this battle just because of Toxic Spikes. So I switched directly into my Seismitoad, because Toad literally does nothing else in this game. Yeah, I can beat Weezing 1v1, but if Altaria's Dragon Dance, he sets up on me, and Torterra just destroys my soul with Seed Bomb or Wood Hammer. So I'm just gonna go for the Scald, hoping to knock out the Weezing, or maybe fish for a burn if he did want to switch directly into the Torterra. As he does bring it in, I don't get a burn, which is a little bit annoying, but it's not entirely too bad. But like I said, I don't really need Seismitoad at this point, so my next play to go for here is just to get rid of the leftovers on this Torterra, because it's going to make it a lot easier for my Porygon 2 to potentially beat this 1v1 if it comes down to it, and it's going to make it easier for my Persian to beat it potentially if I'm able to Toxic it. So he does end up expecting me to make a switch into my Persian, most likely, as he ends up going for the Earthquake. Luckily though, I am going to be able to live this poison and have another shot to get a burn with Scald, which getting off the chip damage on the Torterra is going to be nice. If I had burned him, that also would have been really nice, but now because I didn't burn him, I can maybe Toxic him later, so everything is not too bad. But at this point, Toxic Spikes are unfortunately going to take down my Seismitoad, which is perfectly fine by me because now I can get a free switch into my Alolan Persian and potentially go straight for the Z parting shot, or maybe go for a Toxic or a Taunt depending on what I'm feeling like doing. And in hindsight, I definitely should have gone for a Toxic instead of going right for the Z parting shot, because there was the good possibility that he would have expected me to go for the parting shot, which means he could have easily just started spamming Earthquake. But along with that, he probably could have expected me to predict that and then stay in a Toxic, and that's why I should have stayed in turn 1 and Toxic instead of going straight for the parting shot, because this was honestly really risky just going for it right away. And he even told me himself that he should have gone for the Earthquake this turn. Thankfully though, he ended up going for the Wood Hammer, which is really awesome because I do resist that. It is at -1 and I'm definitely going to be able to chew that up, and I essentially get another KO here. I might have been able to live an Earthquake, but after Flare Blitz recoil and Toxic damage, it probably would have taken me down. But at this point, Altaria doesn't safely switch in, Weezing is going to get knocked out, and Torterra is just going to get absolutely incinerated by my Emboar. So Pumbaa claiming, it ain't Hakuna Matata out here, boys. We claiming some souls now. So down goes the Torterra, in comes the Weezing. I really want to go for the Flare Blitz here. I thought about maybe switching out. Honestly, in the end, I do end up Flare Blitzing because it looks like the combination of Alolan Persian and Porygon 2 should be able to beat his Altaria at this point. So Emboar destroying a water type, which is supposed to typically counter it with the fire move, and then just incinerating the Torterra and the Weezing. As I bring in my Persian here, his last Pokemon is going to be the Altaria. And there's not really too much Altaria I think can do at this point. Even if he's Dragon Dance, I can maybe live a +1 hit. Plus, if he was Dragon Dance, then he's got to play around me foul playing. And me foul playing was actually a really huge misplay. I 110% should have gone for the Taunt. Taunt meant that he couldn't Dragon Dance, he couldn't go for a Roost, or any other kind of non-offensive move that he had. Plus, him going for the Z move right away against my Persian was a little bit obvious. But in the end, taunting I think was definitely my play. Foul playing there was another just misplay on my part, as he is going to be able to just annihilate me with devastating Drake coming from the Altaria. And at this point, all I have is my Porygon 2, which depending on the EV spread on his Altaria, he could very well try and Roost stall me and wear me down with this Toxic and eventually beat me 1v1. But the thing with that is that I could potentially crit him with Ice Beam or freeze him with the Ice Beam. Plus, if he had gone for the Roost, because he was below 15%, if I had got an absolutely high damage roll with Ice Beam, I would have knocked him out anyway. So he's going to go for the Draco, doesn't knock me out, and Porygon 2 is going to be able to pull out the victory here for the very narrow 1-0 victory in my favor. So very good game to Nicholas. I thought this was an absolutely awesome battle. This is probably one of the best Wi-Fi battles I had like in recent memory, like in the past couple of weeks or so. So again, good game to Nicholas. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. Again, let me know what y'all think of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Also, make sure to hammer arm that like button down below if you did enjoy the video, guys. 2 videos on the end screen if you've not seen them already. Thank you all for watching, guys. Thank you all for the support. Really do appreciate every single one of you. And it's nice to see you guys still coming out to the videos and watching and liking and commenting, and I really do appreciate every single one of you guys. So I don't want to ramble on too long. This is almost 15 minutes. So let everybody, thank you all for watching.
Cause my brain and heart are both tied in the knot, and this hinders me from crying a lot. This causing me to show no emotion. But when I said I cared, I wasn't joking. But I guess it's too late for me to become broken. For now, I'm living with no more pain, tears of hoping. I'm just coasting. Yeah, I said I'm coasting. No more pain, tears, and hoping. For real.